Alright, Paper District Township meeting at the Director Center here, 2422 West Blackford Street, it's 6 p.m. It's called to order. Roll call, please.
Ludeman. Here. Newton. Slosky. Here. Stites. Hurtado.
Here. Please listen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda? Yes. Roll call, please. Discussions? Discussions? I have no problem with moving this problem comes up. So we need to withdraw the motion.
Even before it's like usually.
So you would like to move it up to after Commissioner comment? Okay. All right. Any other discussions? All right, so we need a motion to approve the agenda as copied into.
Yeah, I'll withdraw.
You will do the second?
The motion we adopt the revised agenda with the public comments to item number 6.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Discussions? Here none, roll call please.
Ludeman. Yes. Newton.
Yes.
Slosky. Yes. Stites. Hurtado.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Commissioner comments? Commissioner Zarowski?
I know that there are many people here that will want to speak tonight, particularly about the continuing saga of events that have been started several months ago, and with good reason. But I would like to talk to you tonight about a meeting I had this past week with Commissioner Ludeman and our legal counsel. And we sat down and we discussed a variety of issues. And quite frankly, this is the first time I haven't spent so much time talking to Mary Ludeman all year long.
Why?
Suffice it to say, it was a very productive meeting. And throughout the discussion of various issues, we came to the one thing they kept coming forward is about moving forward, rather than looking back. Because, and unfortunately, it's not easy to do when there are issues that seem to need to be rectified. And our IPD rule book and our board manual are not up to the task, and don't leave us with guidance or rules to deal with the issues that we have found ourselves in. Nevertheless, moving forward, we must do. We are taking a small step tonight, but it's a very important one in adjusting the board manual for term limits for officers. So it will be in accord with the IAPD rulebook to 1 year. We can make this retroactive, which means there can be a new president elected in May. Now, this is a good thing. When I talked with Commissioner Ludeman, she has agreed with me. And one thing I want to make clear here, because last month I was accused of wanting to become president, among other personal comments that were made. Well, nothing is further from the truth. Over the past months, since I became vice president, I was asked several times by the president if I would like to be president after it, and I turned him down both times. When I met with Mary Ludeman for us to go forward with the requesting a special meeting, I made it clear to her that I never wanted to be president. And it was with this understanding and my feelings that I went to our legal counsel, Matt Campbell, before the agenda was even written up last month, to ask for his help in making sure that it would be on the agenda for discussion, because I don't make the agenda. I can't do that. And I couldn't guarantee that it would get on the agenda otherwise. And Matt, you have got anything to say on this, because you and I discussed this.
Right, yeah, we discussed the, you contacted me prior to the agenda being drafted and requested as a discussion item, the amending of the terms of president and vice president to more closely reflect what is in the IAPD, or what's in the Illinois Partnership Code. And you expressed to me that it was not designed to have either one of those two offices, but wanted to address that issue regarding term limits.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, folks. Don't you love the time? Anyhow, so one of the things I'd like to say is the comment that was made last month in regards to that, it wasn't true. But we judge people and events by the information we have, and that's all we can do. But what if we don't have all the information? I can guarantee you from the information that's been coming to me this past week, I understand that really well. So I know that the individual who made that comment, if they had that information, would never have ever said that at the meeting. Unfortunately, and this is true, no matter what, and no matter whom, accusations based on supposition and personal opinion, lacking the facts, is also lacking in wisdom, because it's a disservice to me and it's a disservice to that individual too. And so I hope as we go forward, and we are moving forward, right? We're going in the right direction here, is that the support will be also coming forth from the community, because we are moving in a direction which I can guarantee you is the right one, and you're going to be very happy in May. I'm considered sometimes a swing vote here, and I can guarantee you this, my vote is for someone else, and you're going to be very happy that who your president is. That's it.
Commissioner Littman?
Thank you, everyone, for coming. The Park District established an executive search committee that met for the first time this past week. The committee is myself, Commissioner Solowski, Jean Coldwater, Attorney Campbell, and Greg Bott. And so we had an initial meeting, and tonight we're going to discuss further in detail when we get to that part of our agenda with the rest of the board what we'd like to do going forward, and hopefully, as you see on the agenda, we'll be able to move forward on that process and vote on it tonight and go from there. We're trying to work with the Illinois Association of Park Districts, so hopefully we'll move forward on that tonight. So I just wanted to give you an update on that.
I wanted to direct something to staff. Basically, Rob Ayers has been requesting a lot of information from the PSA for the bill for last year for the field payments, and he hasn't been able to obtain the necessary backup for his request. So I'm just asking that staff consider what we've done in the past and fulfill his request.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
It was brought to my attention that there was some kind of a park board meeting on February 14th. Are anybody aware of such a meeting being held at possibly Plainfield Library on some kind of official basis?
I heard the same thing. I have no idea who was
Okay.
anything else, sir?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. At this time, I would like to have the public comment. Please keep it to 3 minutes or less if you can. It's going to be a long night for us.
Good evening, commissioners, staff members, community members. My name is Paul Fay. I'm glad to hear some changes are around the corner. It's high time those changes come. I first entered I didn't know I caused thunder. Good job, Paul. Good job. Watch this. Preparation. Thank you, Lord. I first entered into community service when I was in 3rd grade. And I visited the patients at Lake Nursing Home. And I played music for them and had sing-alongs with them. In 1999, I organized a community forum on land use and development, along with another resident, Ruth Hansen. The Suburban Sprawl was going on. The following year, I ran for the Plainfield Township Board and won as an independent. And a few years later, I ran for the village board. My community service is precisely that, community service. I have never held an office anywhere where I sought personal gain or the employment or contractual services of friends. And I certainly hope, moving forward, according to Jan Solowski, that this board and this staff consider the same action, public service. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Jamie Elwood, Springfield, Illinois. Ms. Solowski, good to hear from you tonight, and I agree we should all start to think about moving forward. But before we move forward, I think we must look at what we've seen the last 10 months so that we can all then possibly move forward. Because people have said up here before, you never talk about the positive that's going on in the Park District. I started to do a little research into what the headlines have actually been the last 10 months, and I thought I would share that with this esteemed group. So here we go. Since you took over, Mr. President, it's official, Park Board votes to make Peck Executive Director. Plainfield Park District Treasurer Doug Booth named Director of Communication. Plainfield Park District fires Public Information Coordinator Mary Ann Ryan. Peck calls citizens radical, resident ejected from Park Board meeting. The Plainfield Township Park District will no longer recognize the Plainfield Patch as a legitimate news outlet. Followed up by Plainfield Park Board President apologizes for Peck's letter to Patch. Plainfield Park officials mum on staff promotions. This is a fiasco. Plainfield officials take aim at Park Board members. Plainfield Park Board reverses vote on St. John's lease. Plainfield Park officials eject another resident. I added that part. And play tic-tac-toe. Plainfield Park District Benton is Professional of the Year. Plainfield Park District axes Plainfield Planning Department, including Benton. Plainfield Park District retaliated against pro-union employee. Settlement reached in Plainfield Park District labor case. Mr. Garrett Peck resigns from Plainfield Park District. Plainfield Park Board VP Janet Solowski accuses President Hurtado of ethics violation. Accusations of patronage, dummy companies at Plainfield Park District. Legislation, an attempt to bring sanity back to the Plainfield Park District. Another side comment, thank you Tom Cross and Senator Bertino Tarrant. Plainfield Township votes no confidence on the Park Board. State's attorney investigating Plainfield Park District documents. State police investigating Plainfield Park District. And we're building a dog park. That was my favorite one. Actually, one more. Last one, and probably the biggest headline that caught my attention. Hurtado alleges racial attacks in letter to editor. From your letter, Mr. President, one person whose good name you tried to tarnish in that letter was me. And I quote from your letter, and I've asked you to check the videotape. Speaking on behalf of the Take Back Our Parks group at our February 4th board meeting, this person publicly made fun of the language in my press statements and letters. Yes, I did. What I made fun of, Mr. President, is the fact that you said you would be open. and transparent and good stewards of our taxpayer money, as we heard about kickbacks and other things. Not once was race or anyone's race or ethnicity ever brought up in a public comment I've made before this board. During your interview a week ago, please give me some time. During an interview a couple weeks ago on Kevin Collins' show, you then backpedaled a tad by saying, you know, people really don't always mean what they say, and you forgive them. Well, for the record, I have meant every damn word I've said in front of this group. Every word. I know people that have been discriminated against in my life. And sir, you show your true character on this issue by making such a false accusation against citizens like myself and other people in the public. My question tonight would be, do you wish to call me a racist here tonight publicly to my face? The question. I didn't think so. Peter, you should be ashamed of yourself for acting like race or accent have had anything to do at all with what's wrong under your watch. Finally, I noticed on the agenda we have 3 items that serve absolutely zero purpose on the agenda this evening. The creation of an independent ethics commission. Mr. President, look behind me. This is your ethics commission. Right here. Right here. Creation of a public advisory committee. That's a good one. Really, because you've been so open and really open to our suggestions. So really, a public advisory committee is spot on. Finally, and this is last, the implementation of a transparency checklist. This one I agree with, and the first and only thing that should be on that list, and I have one here for you. Transparency checklist, Plainfield Park District, Peter Hurtado, resignation, question mark, question mark, question mark. Mr. President, thank you. I would appreciate a public apology. If you don't feel that you owe me one, shame on you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Ernie Knight. I'm a township trustee. Matt Starr is on his way here. He was expecting that you were going to be following your agenda as published, but apparently not. It was our intent to serve on the board our resolution of no confidence in the Plainfield Park District. Rather than rehash that right now, I would rather make some points directly, since my time is very limited. These remarks are directed at the board majority. Make no mistake. Regardless of the intentions of the board majority, when you were elected, when you were seated on the board, you do not have the public trust, you do not have the public confidence, you will not gain them. It does not matter what you do at this point. They will not. You cannot be rehabilitated, you will not gain that trust. It will not happen. You blew that first week. And in the time since, you've done nothing to fix that. Ethics commissions and transparency checklists put forth by this board seem akin to Vladimir Putin putting together a commission on the peaceful and harmonious independence of Ukraine. We all know, all of us know, where this board stands on ethics and on transparency. We don't have to be told, it doesn't have to be put in the form of a commission or the latest fad. We know where you are. Changing the powers of the executive director. The abuses under the prior executive director are not the result of the powers of the executive director position. They are the result of a terrible choice
in person to fill that position. A choice that was carried out hastily, without consideration of multiple candidates, without following the selection process, without following good business practice, without following any ethical standards. There is a simple way to go forward. The board majority can step down. It doesn't matter who is the president or vice president of the board if it's the same board, because it's the same board majority that caused the problems in the first place. Regardless of who is leading this board, the board as it exists will never gain the public's confidence, will never gain the public's trust. And if you think that by some measures that you are taking, some plan that you have, some thing that you're going to do going forward, look around, it's not going to fix the problem. This crowd is not going away. This crowd is getting bigger every month, and it's going to keep getting bigger every month. There's a really good reason for that. Now, if you were, in fact, following the priorities, the goals, the ideals of the public, this would be a very empty room. You need to step down. You need to step down now. Thank you.
I'm going to ask, please, to keep it 2 minutes. Otherwise, I will ask you to stop at 3 minute mark. Okay, please. Thank you.
I'll be real fast, everybody. My name's Vicki Toledo of Plainfield. I just want to touch on a couple things. I wasn't going to speak, but based on a couple things I heard. For Commissioner Solowski, I appreciate you pointing out that you've got this direction, that you spoke with Attorney Mr. Campbell about this directive going from the 2-year to the 1 year. But I was there last month, and that was the takeaway directive at the end of the meeting. I don't see that as something to advertise that much, except that you did what you said you were going to do last month. So it's nice, but I don't know why you spent time on that. And I just wanted to say that, no offense, but, use your words, fella. The toss from Commissioner Steinis to Hurtado about this meeting that happened on February 14th, please don't hint. If you've got something to say, if there's some meeting you want to crab about, just talk. Just speak up. We don't need that kind of toss in front of us. You're not good. You're not good on stage. And Commissioner Solowski, I notice you often talk about feeling badly because people don't behave supportively enough. You hope that the community will support you and the board, support the district. You've got to understand that we should get the same pass you're giving yourself, which is people out here only make judgments based on info they have too. And when we don't have info that isn't anything but crap, it tends to cause bad reaction. So we should get that same pass. And our attitudes will reflect that info that we get. And also, you can't confuse not being satisfied, having a disagreement, not being content with this board's direction with a lack of support for our park district. It is because the people support the district that they get in your face so much. Not because they want to give you a hard time, not because they're contrary, because they support the district. It doesn't, you can't personalize it to you. That if people are nodding their head and go, oh yay, that means they don't support the district. That's untrue. Thank you.
I actually would just like to comment on the public comment policy. I took some time after the last meeting and I read it because I think there was a lot of people being redirected to Mr. Hurtado when they were trying to address the board. So I'd like to start out with your public comment policy number 6. Any member of the public may address the board in in public comments and public hearings regardless of residency. So your number 6 says that we are allowed to come here and address the board. So when you tell people that we have to direct all of our comments to you, it doesn't follow your number 6. So I'm following number 6 tonight, just so you know. So please don't have the nice people escort me out because I'm not talking directly to you. Because right here, number 6, it says I can talk to the whole board. And part of that would be, I know that I sent you a personal letter to your home address. I'm sure that you have gotten it. It goes along with what Ms. Polito has got to say. When people ask you questions directly and they want responses from you and you don't give them, you don't give us anything else to go on. I know you got my letter, so you weren't answering my emails. I sent it personally to your house. I would like answers to the questions that I asked you to directly.
I've not received it.
I will hand over it to you then. I'll make sure you get it. There were some other things on here too. If you want people to follow this policy, I think that it would be helpful if instead of using words like may, like you just actually say that you're going to. Because when you use words like may, I think it's really actually kind of threatening, really, because it gives the person an idea of, oh, if I do this, uh-oh, I might get in trouble. So if you want to make a policy, then stand by it and say, I am going to throw you out if you do this. And either decide that, like, if you want 2/3 vote, like 2/3 of a vote, for people to be thrown out, then make it 2/3 of a vote for the people to be thrown out. Because in one place you have, you're going to decide, and in another place it's going to be 2/3 of the vote. And I don't want to take up any more time, but there are several things that I think that you need to look at this and actually make this a public policy that makes sense and take out a lot of words. And I, for one, would like a date to make sure that I'm looking at the right public policy when it's posted, and I know I have the right one.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Michelle Kelly. I get from the Currents Board agenda that there are ideas and issues that this board is trying to present to move the district forward, such as the Ethics Commission, the Public Advisory Committee, and a transparency checklist. The concern I have is that they're on this list, but this public has been coming to meetings for months and months and months. And we stand up here and ask questions and ask for information, and you don't answer them. And you don't bring something up at a future meeting or on a future agenda that have to do with these things. So these ideas, although they seem like we're going forward, this is going to be great, your actions aren't following those ideas. I think you first need to step back and you need to say, why is the state police investigating our park district? And if they're investigating our park district, what do we need to do as a park district to ensure that something like what has happened over the last 9 months doesn't happen again? And also, why are they investigating this? And bring that out to this public so that we understand what is going on. If I was in the seat of any of you, staff or board, I would be saying we need to get to the bottom of this and we need to present it to the public. No state investigation is stopping you from being the best agency possible and doing that right now and saying what's going on inside. An ethics commission, transparency, public comment, none of that is helpful until you said what you did in the last 9 months. Why were we where we at with the labor board and the state's attorney and the attorney general? All of these questions that haven't been answered. You need to answer those questions before you can move forward in a positive way. I'm not sure how you're going to get a good executive director here. I'm really excited about the idea of a search, but I'm concerned that when you start answering these questions first and start getting the confidence of your public, it's going to be very difficult to get a good ED. Okay, so he's been to all the meetings, I know. You say hi. At least you know he's supposed to stand back here and not sit up with Mary, right? Okay, election. Upcoming, we have 3 ballot questions on our election. I think it would be very wise in the Park District to share with the community why you have them on the ballot and what you're going to do with those answers. That would be what any good public body would do. I really have no idea what Doug Booth does. I really think you should fire him. But if you're not going to have him fire him, Get him to do something and tell us what in the world we have these 3 questions on the ballot for, okay? All right, and lastly, you have a couple other item things on the agenda, trying to change purchasing policy. I think your purchasing policy is already written like you're trying to change it. You're supposed to get 3 quotes for anything between